Speaking of those costs, I want to get to this earnings alert. Buffalo Wild Wings shares are right now selling off about 15% in the pre-market session following a big earnings miss. But despite those weak results, the company says it's looking to grow another 10% before the end of this year. Let's bring in Buffalo Wild Wings CEO Sally Smith to respond directly to this in a First on Fox Business interview. Sally, great to have you on this morning following your earnings announcement.
Good morning, Sandra.
What do you tell your shareholders right now about the future of your company after this earnings miss, as the stock does sell off this morning?
Well, our stock is typically volatile around earnings, and I would tell shareholders to look at the long-term growth plans for Buffalo Wild Wings. We did talk about our earnings forecast for 2016 in our conference call yesterday of exceeding 20%. So we still think we're going to have a pretty decent year. We're looking for a good fourth quarter. And, a number of things came together this third quarter. A shift in the calendar on the sports, a little higher costs related to an acquisition we did in August. But for long term, I'm really pleased with where we're performing.
So, Sally, that shift in the calendar year is interesting because that's led to a week less of football and fewer pay-per-view events. That's according to your results. Is that the reason?
Yes, we had nice sales going into July and August. September was a little bit weaker than we anticipated. We knew about the calendar shift, but didn't anticipate quite the shift in the two pay-per-views as well.
I want to bring the panel in here real quick, but should these lower oil and gasoline prices actually be helping your company out in a way that maybe we're not seeing show up in your earnings?
I think for the industry as a whole, yes, lower oil and gas certainly gives the consumer more discretionary buying power, eating out. We've seen a general weakness in the industry in September and October. So I don't know if there's, a pent-up demand, other things going on. We track well with the industry and we remain above the industry. But I think the lower oil and gas does bode well for the restaurant industry.
Anastasia Amoroso is here.
Sally, good morning. I think oil and gas, low oil and gas prices do bode well, and it's really interesting because we look at retail sales, and they're not all that robust. But we look at restaurant sales, food and beverages. That's the line item that's growing at 7, 8, 9% per year. So I've been telling people that people save money on gas and they buy more beer and chicken wings. And are you guys seeing that, or are you saying that there's been a pause in September and October, and you expect to pick up through the year end?
We do expect it to pick up through the year end. We have, the calendar and the games and how they lay out affect us a little bit. And we did call out in earnings that we have a shift in Halloween and Christmas. We'll pick up that additional week of football in the first quarter of 2016. We still think we're a compelling story. It is where you want to watch the game. And we're always looking for great matchups. Certainly the first game of the World Series and going into extra innings definitely helps.
Sally, Michael Block here.
Yeah, Sally, you talk about this industry slowdown September, October. One thing we've talked about on the show is untethering of traditional media. We heard from Disney a few months ago about ESPN. Do you think there's a similar phenomenon that you have to manage and handle in terms of people seeking alternative venues to, say, watch sporting events? Is that something that you're thinking about?
Actually, I think that really provides some great detail on what compels people to come to Buffalo Wild Wings. If you're not getting cable at home, if you're not able to get that sports package or watch the game, it is a reason to come into Buffalo Wild Wings, and that's what our guests are telling us.
And the World Series, has that been a boost for you, at least in this quarter?
Well, actually, we think the final, the World Series itself will really hit in November. So from a quarter-over-quarter basis, very similar, month-over-month, a shift to November.
All right.
We're just hoping for 7 games.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, well, I assume a few companies and people are hoping for that as well. Sally Smith, thank you for joining us, Buffalo Wild Wings CEO.
Sandra, thank you.